Yeah, what's up, people? Hopefully I'm not mic hitting all over the place. What's up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again with a new show. We're calling it NRO Mic Check. This is going to be a show where we do kind of like an open mic format. I haven't done an open mic format in a very long time. We're going to bring it back. We're going to start doing it here. We're going to have some starter talk. What is this? A what? Hold on. They said talking about severe storm. Hey, where's that? Hold on. I gotta make a run. Finish. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. What's up, people? Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, this is the show where we're going to be doing some open mic stuff, and this is kind of like a challenging week for me because I'm super busy. There's the only content that I can really dedicate is besides me doing this is NRO. I think I can squeeze that out on Friday. Also, we're going to try to do some game streams in between where I can. I'm stuck between the hospital and business meetings all week. And my wife is in the hospital and my son's in the hospital. And they're both in the hospital for two totally different reasons. Nothing really bad. Just, my wife's going in for some procedural things, and she needs to be in there for a while. My son, we're still running tests on him, but he's doing a lot better. But still, they're both in and out having all these tests run, and I'm running between both hospitals, and I got a whole bunch of business meetings this week, which is throwing me off. So I was at home for a little bit, checking on mail, doing some things, got a couple of hours before I got to head back out. But I'm not going to spend all those hours here. I'm just going to spend maybe a half an hour here, chop it up with you guys real quick because we haven't talked in a while, and then I'm heading back out to actually get to a business meeting, then back to the hospitals. But I want to thank everybody. Appreciate all of y'all for rocking out with your boy on a regular basis. Yeah, we're going to be doing an open mic. So I got a couple of starter topics that I want to talk about because I haven't really done anything in a week. And then on the back end of that, if anybody has any questions, things that they want to talk about, let's do it. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about this FTC versus Microsoft thing. So I have been keeping up with it. Don't know if I'm going to listen to the proceedings tomorrow. We'll see. I think I'm done listening to it because, well, here's why I am watching. I'm watching it because I care more about games that are coming out right now and not court proceedings. I don't want to be at work. You know what I'm saying? And I have plenty of experience here, with court proceedings and dealing with regulators and stuff like that. I don't want to go through work all over again. Gaming is my break from all that. You know what I'm saying? I get to go here and just act goofy and cheesy and silly here and do all this other stuff. Of course I'm not like this at work. That's not going to happen. But I get to, kick kick my feet back a little bit and just, act however I want to act here and relax and get my rocks off and play some games and stuff like that while I'm doing it. That's numero uno why I didn't want to listen to it. The second reason why is, I just don't care. I don't care until there's a final resolution to everything. It doesn't matter to me. Like all this backroom, like I get knowing who the execs are. I get knowing, why certain games are released or, released in the state that they're in and stuff like that. Stuff like this, I really don't care until something happens. And there has been what do you call it? There's been a product made out of watching all this crap, right? And it can get silly. And you're not learning anything. The overwhelming majority of the people that are talking about this don't understand what's being talked about, or they have an agenda. They don't understand why this case exists and why the FTC is blocking Microsoft's proposed merger or proposed buyout, whatever you want to call it. They don't understand what the crux of the case is, nor do they understand why certain things land certain ways. So you listening to them doesn't make any sense. Like I tried to have a discussion with somebody because I'm watching because I'm frankly sick of the lies. So I personally can't trust, because there's so much incompetence in regards to the coverage of this. I can't trust the majority of people that are talking about it. So I have to watch it myself. And despite all this stuff that's happening at the hospital and things like that, when I do have downtime and I don't have to talk to a doctor or something like that. What is going on with? Sorry, I'm trying to fix this is so weird. Okay, there we go. Now it's fixed. And I'm having such a hard, when I'm not having to talk to doctors or anything like that. I am listening to the trial. And again, I'm listening to it because people don't know what they're talking about. And they're making up stuff. Like one of the conversations that I had, which was really concerning, is someone had suggested that the FTC or that Jim Ryan didn't want to testify. He gave a deposition because he's not under oath. Now, I in particular have given multiple depositions. And in my rant to this individual, not the other day, I said, I've done dozens or close to dozens, and I've been in court. I mean, I've been given depositions dozens of days because sometimes depositions can go multiple days. Like they're normally like 3-hour sessions, and then you stop for the day. You know what I mean? And a lot of the sessions that I've been in have been multiple days. But every time that I've done them, and I've done close to a dozen of them, at a corporate business level, that there was our lawyers, we're usually the defendants here. I don't know if anybody, again, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know if anybody is deposed on the prosecutory side of it, but whatever. We've always been the defendants. So there was our lawyers, the plaintiff lawyers, and like some court appointed person recording the whole thing, right? And every time I've given a deposition, I've had to do it under oath. I had to swear, telling the truth, whole truth, nothing, just like I was in court. So I said, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe they just didn't trust me. Maybe every time I've been to a deposition, I was under oath. And that's not common. So I went and looked it up and saw that it was common. And then I threw it back at the person and they still went on and on. Oh, with this, that. And I got upset because I hate when people get something wrong and then want to double down on it. Like I'm not in any competition with anybody. I just want to see the internet be used for something good for once, like truthful dissemination of information. Like nobody's getting paid from Xbox. Nobody's getting paid from PlayStation. We may be, if you create content, you may be bumping some elbows with some folks. So what? Regardless of what you're doing, like I don't feel like the credibility in regards to the things that you'll double down on factually. I don't think it's worth it. Because this is just one case. Anybody trying to do what they're trying to do is a lifetime. And to just lie to people, that's why I'm here. You guys heard the Best Buy story from me about, me going into Best Buy and the Geek Squad not knowing what I was talking about when I had like a VGC cord and they didn't know what it was. So they tried to be dismissive and I went all the way home, got the broken one, brought it back, threw it at them. I was just so angry. Like when you don't know something, it's okay. People talk to me every day about stuff that I don't know. Don't try to be dismissive of stuff that you don't know. I feel like you should always grow in your knowledge. And if you're disseminating stuff to people based off your ignorance and then you want to double down on it or just leave it there, that's a problem to me. And that's friend or foe. I just got off the phone with a business partner and blessed him out about lying over something that, we're doing, you know what I'm saying? Even though we're not bound to it contractually. I just don't like the lies, man. You ain't got to lie to kick it. So anywho, yeah, because you hear stuff like that. Jim Ryan doesn't want to be under oath, or this is what's happened, or that, or that pathetic, and I'm seeing these headlines. FTC got crushed. FTC is winning. Nobody, look, we all have our biases of how we want this to go. Or you maybe you don't care. But regardless of that, I think understanding what's happening is paramount, and winning or losing, that's stuff for like TV and tabloids. None of us know. There are, if you understand the legal basis of what's going on here, then you can rate how well somebody is making that argument in your opinion. But at the end of the day, you don't know, especially if you're not a legal expert, you don't know. And two, even if you are a legal expert, you definitely don't know. None of us knows, because we're not the presiding judge. That presiding judge determines how well that information has been presented. So nobody knows. So this whole thing, yeah, they're winning or whatever. I mean, we can, like I've done it too in private discussions, graded how well I thought that they've done. But all this stuff for clicks and all this stuff, it's not informative at all. And that's the thing that worries me about this, is because I do want people to understand the business side, but you're getting this reporting about the business side from non-business minded people, or the business minded people have an agenda for one side or the other, and they're not giving it to you straight down the middle. I'm going to tell you the truth from what I've observed. The truth of the matter is that it's probably, if I'm presiding over this based off of my experience and how I've seen things go down, it's straight down the middle. Like, nobody's killing anybody. The fact of the matter is that the biggest concerns from the FTC is that Microsoft would foreclose on Call of Duty, and that this would hurt, and their actions would hurt the cloud gaming market. Those are two of the main pillars. There might be another one, but from what I understand, those are two of the main pillars. There's still strong evidence of the foreclosure based upon Bethesda, what they did with what they said before the Bethesda purchase and what they done after the Bethesda purchase. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, you know how we do. Let me show you something. This is from what was it, Tim Stewart, where he says, Bethesda games will likely be first or better, not only on Xbox. And he said, let's see here. Let's see if I can find. Hold on. He says, Todd, that it's hard to imagine that the next Elder Scrolls as a Microsoft exclusive. He says they've been pretty open on the other platforms and not just within Xbox. Howard told GameIndustry.biz. This is an outside perspective, but if you go back 10 years of Microsoft, you wouldn't expect them to have a full Office suite on an iPhone either. Right? That was Todd Howard. And let me say, and he says, now that's not the point, Tim Stewart said, about it being exclusive. He says that's not a point about adjusting timing or content or roadmap. But if you think something like Game Pass, it just shows up best in Game Pass, that's what we want to see. And we want to drive our Game Pass subscriber base through that Bethesda pipeline. So the way they were communicating as their biggest reason is, look, we're on a different path. We're not trying to fight with Nintendo or PlayStation. We like them. Remember, around the same time, this is when they were talking about that Amazon and Google were the evil trolls on the bridge. We're not worried about them. We're not doing this to take games away from them. What we're doing is we just want to add incentive to Game Pass. That's the way they were talking before the deal was struck. Once the deal was struck, then they changed. Then they did a 180, and that's when Phil Spencer got on TV and said that they would, they did the purchase for exclusive content on for Game Pass and Microsoft ecosystem. And it says now Microsoft Xbox, Tim Stewart has given the clearest indication yet that future Bethesda Softworks games likely won't be exclusive to Microsoft platforms. Instead, Stewart says he suspects Microsoft will shift to a first or better or best approach on our platforms. So you got multiple entities before the deal was closed talking about an open ecosystem where we're just doing this for Game Pass. Right. And we're doing this to ensure that our gamers get access to it. This is the stuff that they said in court. But because they said that in court, the question is, okay, well, why did you bring a bazooka to a knife fight? If this is a knife fight that you feel like that you're in with PlayStation and you had to buy these games in order to combat the fact that PlayStation, was going to make them exclusive, why still not put them on PlayStation? Like you're trying to extract revenge is what the lawyer is saying. And, Phil is like, well, they did this to us. They did this to us. And the theory is if I punch you in the face, yes, I may be wrong. I may have not been wrong. That doesn't give you a right to come to my house with a chainsaw and just chop off my leg. So there is some strength in their argument. I will say this, though. And then also there's not just that. There's, Pete Hines' testimony that I think helped further FTC's case. I won't say it made it because I don't think anyone made their case fully yet. Stuff that was said by Matt Booty. And yes, did they have explanations on that stuff? Yeah, they had explanations. Will the explanations totally suffice? I don't think so. But again, that's up to the judge to make the decision on. But it didn't totally close it out. Like Matt Booty's thing about, we were mad at NVIDIA. That's why I said no way. That's not what he said in the email. In the email, it specifically says, we're not putting our games on a competitor. It doesn't say we're not putting our games on NVIDIA because of what they did. He didn't say that. So that's bullpucky that was made after the fact. And the same person that tried to cascade along that Jim Ryan didn't want to testify under oath, even though a deposition is under oath. Even the same person that cascaded that said to me that, everybody was mad at NVIDIA. I said, no, you just discovered it. As a cover of cloud stuff, we knew this since 2020. Everybody was mad at NVIDIA. That's why they left the platform in 2020. But guess what? They all ended up coming back, with the exceptions of Microsoft and Activision. Now, it's been reported that Activision and NVIDIA have been in open talks. CMA's documentation, if you look at it, you can pretty much connect the dots and surmise the same thing. So Activision may have been, inching towards that. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry I can't see it right now because of the screen that I'm on. I hate when that happens. Hold on. Let me see if I can. No, it's not going to show me. But I appreciate the follow so much. It says Antina Twitch. Thank you so much for the follow. So even though that was his response, it didn't totally suffice. Why? Because again, everybody was mad at NVIDIA, but everybody started coming back to NVIDIA. Everybody has, except for Activision, Take-Two, and Microsoft. Now, I don't know what the status is with Take-Two. And to be honest, I don't even know if Take-Two was ever there. They may have been there. But Activision, again, it was reported that there's active talks, because now what NVIDIA GeForce Now has done is, and as of 2021, they have this opt-in option where literally, because of how cloud gaming and the way that NVIDIA does it, along with Boosteroid and Shadow does it, the industry is looking at it differently. They're looking at it like through these conduit services that just basically give you a rig in the sky. These are not sole cloud platforms like Stadia and Amazon Luna, where their core platforms, you had to build the game for their platform. You don't build a game for NVIDIA GeForce Now. You don't build a game for Boosteroid. You don't build a game for Shadow PC. They give you a virtual rig in the sky so you can play the PC versions of those games. That's basically it. So once NVIDIA pretty much said, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We're just written people access to a rig in the sky. We're not reselling your product. What we're basically doing is extending the access to your product even further, because people that don't have the powerful rigs at home can still access your games. So, it's your best bet to allow these games to be played via our service. Once people started understanding that better, then they started signing back on. And from what, again, you take a look at that CMA documentation, you can connect the dots and surmise the following: that Activision was coming aboard. That's why CMA kept talking, and reasonably you can surmise that that's why CMA kept bringing up, we have proof that Activision was actively seeking a cloud platform. In all likelihood, it was NVIDIA GeForce Now. And the biggest argument is NVIDIA GeForce Now, as far as competitive play, is the best place to play games like Call of Duty by far. It's better to play it there in a lot of instances than it is your consoles. Digital Foundry did the breakdown of the latency. They can do 4K Ultra at 120 frames per second. Look, I'm just telling you the way that it is. So because of that, it's reasonable to surmise that's who they were referring to. So everybody started coming back to NVIDIA GeForce Now. You want to know who didn't come back, particularly that's involved in this case? Microsoft. Microsoft is the only company who vehemently attacked cloud platforms before these 10-year deals to ensure that none of their games were there. And I pointed it out earlier at the end of the week that the Microsoft lawyer actually lied when she asked Dov Zemistry, I hope I said his name right, formerly of Google Stadia, co-founder of Stadia, when she said, do you realize that no cloud service, has Activision content on it? That was a lie. Boosteroid currently has cloud content, a variety of the Call of Duties. The recent one, they have Diablo 4 on there. They got a variety of Activision games on there. Why? Because Activision isn't persistently seeking them to remove the content. The only company that we know of that has done that is Microsoft, because their content was nowhere before these 10-year deals. So what these companies basically did is they know how hostile Microsoft can be. So they're thinking to themselves, damn, including Boosteroid, who already has the content, Shadow, who already has the content, but they didn't get, I don't think Shadow got a deal either. And including, including GFN, who likely was negotiating to get the content back. They said, damn, we know how hostile Microsoft can be in this realm. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign these 10-year deals and give our approval for safety to make sure that A, if we're Boosteroid, we don't lose them, and B, if we're NVIDIA GeForce Now, that we actually get them again. That's all that's about. Because if they don't sign these 10-year deals and Microsoft gets the games, they're definitely not going to get them. If Boosteroid wouldn't have signed those 10-year deals, if Microsoft wins and gets to merge with wins ABK, those Call of Duty games are being yanked, and they know that. That's why they signed the deal. That's why they're lending all this approval. Shout out to you, Anti-Twitch. Hey, he says, how are you? Can you see my comments? Yes, I can see your comments. Sometimes I get a little ranty. I really appreciate your following. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's what's going on. So that's the FTC pro side of the case. The Microsoft pro side of the case is the Jim Ryan emails. There's no getting around that. That's some serious stuff. For this, the main person that's making the arguments to say, you know what, I'm saying exactly what Microsoft said. He has to explain that. Now he can and say, well, look, things changed. Things change when and can correlate what Microsoft did to change their minds. If he can do that appropriately, then yeah, you can explain that away, but he has to explain that away. So that's in Microsoft's favor. What's also in Microsoft's favor is day two. All of their stuff that's in their favor is day two. Day two, I think testimony, the first third of it, I think was on point, was good. Somehow they lost the lawyer. I mean, they lost the judge though. When they lost the judge and a lot of the mumbo jumbo, that's when she cut the lawyer off, and that's when Dov Zemmerig's testimony came up, and then they fell flat. They totally wasted their time with the whole Stadia thing. That was a waste. So day two became a wash, and it really made FTC look like they don't know how to properly package their case and make it relatable. People are saying FTC don't know what they're talking about. No. Microsoft is great at doublespeak. This is why they're still in business. They have, look, any other company that has not provided top-notch content for over 10 years, they would be gone by now. Microsoft is great at selling hope. Because they're so great at selling hope, they've been able to stay around and sell controllers and all this other stuff and still have a viable place for you to play Fortnite and all those other third-party games. That's what they've been surviving off of. It's not their own content. They've been surviving off of still being a viable place, a likable place to play the top-notch third-party games. They're trying to transition into something more with their own individual product, trying to flesh out Game Pass, and that's why they're buying these IP. But you cannot confuse the power of the Xbox doublespeak. And if you're not well versed, or if you're not thoroughly versed in gaming, which none of these regulators are, trying to debate what they're doing real time can be massive. So that is Microsoft's biggest strengths here. I feel like if any of these regulators that are challenging this were well versed in what was going on in gaming, this would be cake. With my experience, and I'm not trying to say that I got a whole heck of a lot, but I got a fair amount of experience through just the close to a dozen depositions in the actual court cases that I've been involved in, that I feel like I can present this case better than the FTC can in a relatable way to this judge, because you got to bring stuff down in layman's terms. I just feel like the whole Stadia thing was a mess. You're talking about Vulcan. What is Vulcan? And you got him breaking down Vulcan, and you're not translating it. And you can tell that the guy is nervous. He cut out certain pieces, and he was like, for the sake of time. And it wasn't really the sake of time. She broke it down to you. You got to understand your audience. FTC did a horrible job day 2 of communicating to the audience, which is this judge who was not a big time gamer. She indicated that by not even understanding how Game Pass works. So the FTC, hopefully over the weekend, redid their strategy, and they're going to make it more relatable. That's the problem, and they don't have enough consistent. They need gaming experts at those tables too. People that have gaming, like what I would do if I was FTC, if they did the right thing, they would have taken their testimony. And they would have taken it to, they would have had a legal representative and a gaming entity representative there. And they would have said, okay, where did we go wrong? And then I would have first went to the gaming rep and said, okay, where are weaknesses in our back and forths here? And the gaming rep would have said, well, look, when the lawyer said that there were no games on other cloud services, you should have pointed out that they're on Boosteroid. Then you take and say, oh, okay. And then you take that to the legal representative and you say, okay, legal rep, what would have been the most layman's way that we should have explained this legally, or we should have presided over this legally to the judge? And then you have the legal rep go and break it down to you that way. Then the next thing would have been, okay, well, about the whole we were mad at NVIDIA thing. That was a missed opportunity then, because you're not well versed. You don't realize that a lot of these entities came back to NVIDIA. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so gaming entity broke that down to us. Again, legal counsel, how do we again speak of that legally and break that into legal terms? And you go hit after hit after hit. And the reason why I say that hopefully the FTC do that is because that's what we do. Like a lot of times, most of the times the depositions I gave were because I managed a particular type of business within our company that was hard to explain in layman's terms. Right? And so we would have people, because it was just a high risk business. And it was a high risk business that the company didn't really want to intake. But in order to win bigger business, they had to take that on as auxiliary business. Right? So it was high risk. So what they would use every time a lawsuit would come up, they would come and defer to me, and I only had to give depositions. I didn't have to be in court because it wasn't necessarily something that I did, that caused the mishap. It was the overall company policy that was always being debated and stuff like that. And I would just basically give a deposition to what occurred. And they would take my information. Well, and even before the deposition, I would sit with my lawyer, and my lawyer would hire another lawyer to actually preside with me. They would hire an outside firm. And then, where I talked about being the gaming expert, well, I was the expert in that particular sector. So I would break it down to them. Okay, well, this is how it would happen. They would go over mock scenarios where they were the plaintiff and arguing against me. And then we would really vet this out and totally prepare for this. And then after, if it was a deposition that went over 2 days, we would all reconvene in the morning, because a lot of times the depositions would happen like around 10 a.m. And because they would be 3 hours, the court appointed people didn't want to be there forever. So we were there at 7. What did we do wrong the day prior? This, that, and the other. Okay. Well, where was a missed opportunity? And I would tell them, I say, well, when the lawyer asked me about this, that, or the other, they were wrong about this or that when they were suggested this and that. Oh, okay. And then we would reformulate our questions and our strategy and go back into it for day 2. Hopefully that's what the FTC is going to do, because they have to get better at explaining whatever they were trying to explain day 2 in layman's terms. Really, the overall case they can explain better. I think that's why a lot of people that are listening were like, oh, no, this doesn't make sense. They lost. Well, they don't understand the context of what has to be proven. Where in a legalese format, I think day 1, they may have been effective enough, where day 2, it got into like the weeds of gaming, and where they weren't effective at all. I don't think. Well, they were the first third. They were the first 2/3. They were getting somewhere, but they didn't wrap it up in a bow. So my thoughts of the entire process is it's not worth getting into at this point. And don't listen to the people online. Most of them are lying to you or giving you uneducated glimpses of what's going on. You just have to wait it out until there's a verdict. And that's how I'm pursuing. Like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to listen tomorrow. I've been doing it because people have been lying all through this process. They've told you things were going to happen, and nothing they said that was going to happen has happened. So I didn't trust them. I wanted to know actually what was going on, just to take a glimpse. And I listened the first 2 days on my own. And I'm glad I did, because now I know that before ruling is done, oh yeah, FTC got murdered. They got murked. Yeah. They're lies. They're lies. And then there's lies on the other side too, where people are trying, this happened to Microsoft people. No, if you had to ask me today where I thought, if I'm the presiding judge over this, I'm looking at the information and I'm like, yeah, FTC does. They have a case. They have a strong case for the injunction, barely. That's how I'm looking at barely. But they do have a case. The way that they've presented it. So that's that. All right. I don't have, oh, Jesus Christ. Going over time already. Final Fantasy 16 seems to be killing it. I see a lot of haters out there talking about, it's overheating PlayStations. Where it overheated Z's, and it seems like a bug, because there are people like my PlayStation ain't even hot, so they need to fix that. They definitely need to fix that. But as far as like the dips to the 720p and all this other stuff they're trying to say and trying to validate Starfield, look, cut it out. Starfield is locked at 30, meaning it can't go above 30. That doesn't mean it's going to stay at 30. And from footage that people have seen, it looks like that it dips in the low 20s. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable 9th generation. The way dynamic resolution works, unless you're someone that looks at every single pixel and edge like Digital Foundry, dynamic resolution works great, even if there are instances, not the entire time, instances where it drops down to 720p. I'm not worried about that. Why? Because they had the same complaints about Forspoken. And I play Forspoken only in performance mode, and it looks great. Does it look more detailed in quality mode? But yeah, but I'm not playing I'm not playing at 30 frames per second. Absolutely not. So the overall visual in the atmospherics of the game looks so much better. And it in a performance mode where we're talking about, we're going like, at the very least over 45 frames per second. We're hitting a trajectory of between 45 and 60. Hopefully more commonly between like 55 and 60. You know what I'm saying? Now the thing with the trickery that they did in Final Fantasy 16 is that in order to hit to keep a constant 60, they really drop the resolution, the base resolution, and they dynamically upscale it. You know what I'm saying, to 4K or whatever for the boss. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. They're talking about when you take stills, it looks like oil paintings. Who's taking a still of the game and just looking at it instead of playing it? So, yeah, I think the haters need to stop. The reason why I'm not playing it yet is because I'm e-begging. There's so many games coming out. I've been given my allowance for the games, and I can't go any further. All right, so the last thing that I want to talk about are the games. There are 4 I want to talk about in particular. Trepang 2, which has been like a surprise hit on Steam. It's available via NVIDIA GeForce Now as well. We highlighted it on GeForce Now Countdown this past Thursday. The game looks fantastic and reminds me of old school, what do you call that damn game? Old school Fear, which is one of my favorite shooters of all time. Definitely check it out. It's on there for like $30. Forspoken has interestingly been back up in the top 12 of UK box chart games because people have been playing Final Fantasy 16. The game has gone down in price, that is Forspoken, and people are like, well, damn, this looks very similar to what Forspoken was doing, and Forspoken got hammered. And I'm enjoying the hell out of Final Fantasy 16, despite people be telling me that the performance mode sucks. Like, I've seen, pretty well-numbered content creators do polls, and they're asking people, what are you playing, quality or performance? And the overwhelming majority of people that I've seen poll are playing in performance mode. All right. I mean, I don't think that's a 1v1 indication of what's happening actually with every single player, but a lot of people appreciate the fact that option for performance mode is definitely there because that's the main way that they're playing. And they're realizing, hey, look, this is the same lambasting that they gave Forspoken. So maybe Forspoken isn't that bad. And I'm glad people are finding that out. I appreciate Digital Foundry for what they do for the console war. I mean, that's the best way you can appreciate it, is for the console war. I appreciate what they do personally because of when they're talking about frames. But when they give their overall arching thoughts on the game, it doesn't sway me personally unless it's really that bad or really that good. Like if they're telling me a game is like sub 20, then I'm happy for that because they know how to, best clock that. That means I'm not getting the game. If they tell me that a performance mode in the game that I was interested in stays at like 60 frames per second consistently, and I was like, damn, I don't want to get that game because performance is so important to me in that game. I wonder if it stays at a 60. If it drops below 50, I don't think I would want it. Just because of the type of game that it is or whatever. If they tell me, oh no, this thing hits 60 all the time, Moss, then I'll be like, okay. But besides that, they're just good for the console war. Most of the stuff that they point out to you, you wouldn't even recognize or wouldn't even know. Even if you had both consoles side to side, you wouldn't know. I mean, what I do appreciate though is they help expose the lies that may have been told about the Xbox Series S and X. Even much so that the Microsoft has decided to private a video that they have about the Xbox Series S, where they made all these promises that, pretty much none of them came true. So I appreciate that for them to help you look at the overall catalog of something and help you help show the state of where development is. But but individually, a la carte for a game, no, they don't do anything for me personally, except for in those most extreme cases. So I think a lot of people are going on Forspoken because of that. Remnant 2 is another game that I'm excited for. I think July 25th, that is my most anticipated game for 2023. So I can't wait till that comes out. I'm definitely buying that. And Diablo 4, I think it's interesting. There's been a big thing about Diablo 4 and its seasons and you having to build new characters in order to go through seasons. And it sounds like that if you wait until the seasons start happening and start the game there, that you don't have to worry about keep having to create a character for the seasons. So guess what? That's why I'm waiting. I'm not buying that one until the season content come out. All right. So that's it, folks. Cold Blood. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. You late, man. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. He says Digital Foundry is associated with Eurogamer. F them. Lost all credibility. Yeah. When they pulled that crap, bro, and I think, hold on, let me see something. Yep. I can put y'all comments back up there again. Yep. Yeah, they did lose any credibility, brother. They did. I don't care about them anymore. And now that you're trying to review games, like review not the technical aspects, but review the quality of the gameplay and all that, I'm not into that from you. Just give me the technical aspects. Let me know what I'm getting in totality from said platform. But besides, I don't care less what they think. But that's me. All right. With that said, I appreciate all of y'all. That was my quick run of the mill of what's going on. Again, FTC. I would say over 95% of the people that are talking about it, you can't trust them. There are 3 people that I go to. I go to Steve Totilo. I go to Derek of Tweaktown, and I go to this guy by the name of, I don't think he's doing it anymore. The guy's name is oh God, where's he at? Joseph, American Truck Songs 9. I go to those 3. And they're Derek is a big proponent for the thing. I don't think Steve has a thought of it, and I'm not sure where American Truck Songs now, but those people come right down the middle when they're actually live tweeting about it. To get a synopsis of it, is that even important anymore? Just wait till the final ruling comes down, because either way it goes, it'll either do one or two things. It'll either effectively kill the deal, maybe not, or it won't kill the deal. It'll make it less possible or slightly more possible, but it doesn't win the case because there's still the CMA block. And if Microsoft tries to avert the CMA block, that you're going to have years of challenges there. So we shouldn't let this consume like the break from all that noise. This Monday, where people are focusing on games and they're talking about games again, this is what's best for the community. All right. With that said, appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. I'll try to be back throughout the week. But until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.